In order to get Combat, you go to our Velocitron website. Here's the Velocitron website. You click on the shop button here and you'll see here premium content Velocitron Combat. You add that to your cart and check out, and that will then give you the Combat premium upgrade. Notice here that it includes the Dominator and Scenes Polyworld and Empty Polyworld and 23 tracks, which are the various Combat tracks. The second thing you need to make sure you've done is run the launcher for the sim to update the sim to the latest level. Some people don't run the launcher habitually, and if you don't do that then you won't be receiving patch updates, and therefore you won't have a sim that has got the Combat code within it. So you must run the launcher and make sure you're on the latest level of the sim. If you have done that and you are on the latest level of the sim, you will see a little clock down the bottom left here which indicates that you have a version of the sim that has Combat within it, because this little clock was added in the version of the sim that has Combat. This is nothing to do with Combat, it's just this is a nice visual indicator that your sim is at the right level to be able to play the Combat. There's nothing to download for the Combat, so when you buy it from the shop you won't get a download or anything like that. All it does is it just activates Combat in your sim when you make that purchase. You just need to restart your sim and Combat will be enabled within it. Once you've done that, the first thing you want to do is go to single player, go to add quad, go right to the top and select the Dominator. This is the Combat quad. Select it, give it a name and save it. Once you've done that, you will have a Combat quad in your list of selectable quads that you can fly. The other thing that you'll get is you'll get your level, your XP, your kills, deaths, your KD, wins and losses. You'll have a skins button over here that allows you to configure your reticules on the latest, or crosshairs on the latest version, your turrets and any skins that you want to run on your Combat quad. And depending on your level you'll have other turrets and other crosshairs you can select. So that's all you need to do in terms of getting the quad. The next thing you need to do is set up your controller, and you need to basically set up the fire button. So if I just assign my controller here, there you go. So my fire button is already set up, so if I click my momentary switch on my sim, you can see here that it's highlighting the fire button, and it's also highlighting over here what I've assigned it to. I can just double click this to remove that assignment, so you can see this is an unassigned channel over here, and I just click fire, click that channel, and now I've assigned my fire button. So that's all I need in order to fire. If you're using a foot pedal or something like that, you can assign a foot pedal to the X key using a keyboard mapper. You don't do it inside of the sim, and that will allow you to fire using a foot pedal within Combat. Then the last thing you need to be aware of is that Combat only runs in multiplayer, so you have to go to multiplayer, select your Combat quad, and then you can set up I'll set up just a hidden session here and host it. You must go to either Empty Polyworld or Polyworld. Those are the only two Combat enabled maps, and then when you go to those you'll see in the drop down that you can select all of the Combat modes. If you're not in one of those scenes, so if you're in say City, when you go to the drop down here to select your Combat modes, you'll see they're greyed out. So you must select Empty Polyworld or Polyworld. So we just select Empty Polyworld here, and we'll select Deathmatch down here. So that's set up, and then you can set your skill level here. So Easy just fires bigger bullets that have more splash damage. hard fires smaller bullets that have less splash damage, and that basically changes the difficulty because it's harder to hit people if you're firing smaller bullets that create less splash damage. And then you select your map from up here, and we're playing deathmatch. So I mean, on all the maps you can play all the different modes, but some of them are designed for, you know, more for certain modes than the other. So if they're more for deathmatch, then there'll be a DM. If they're more designed for capture the flag, there'll be a CTF. But on most maps you can play deathmatch and capture the flag. We'll just go to DM Big Town here and select that scenery. Now we're in DM Big Town. The first thing you need to do in order to play combat is just click the flag here, which is Start Abort Race. You click that, it tells you the race mode and that you're in combat. You can now take off, fly through a power-up, and once you've flown through a power-up, it will show you your ammo bar if you've got that turned on, how much ammo you've got, and your fire button will fire. Now this is the very latest patch, so the very latest patch turns on the crosshair, you can see in the middle here, and it also turns on trails so that you can see other quads easily. In the current production version, which is going to be updated today, you have to press H in order to turn on the crosshair, and you have to press T to turn on the trails. But that's no longer required in the latest patch. This little ammo bar down here that you can see reducing is also in the latest patch, and that is configured from the main menu. And I'll just go back there so I can show you the options for that. So that's the line option for the ammo bar. If I just go back to the main menu here, and we go to quad settings, you see right down the bottom you've got ammunition display, and I had it on a line. You can select circle or you can select none. So none won't give you any visual bar or circle or line showing your ammo. So we'll set it on the circle for the moment so I can just show you what that one does. Select our quad, hidden session, host session, and select scenery.
Ready to
and
race.
we just press this to start.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now you see we've got a circle in the middle that shows our ammo, and as I fire it's going to reduce that, like so. You also get an indicator on the left for your ammo as well, so if I pick this one up you can see it's now orange, and over here you can see your ammo and a value of 20, but you've also got an indication in the middle of the screen. Okay, so I mean that's the basics of how you get combat, how you enable the things you need to enable in order to use it, how you start a session or create a session, what maps it works on, what drone you need to run in order to play it, and how the different elements of your UI show you what's going on. Now it's important to note that I've selected the Dominator in order to play because that is our specific combat quad. And if I go back to the main menu I'll show you this. So the Dominator is our specific combat quad, and you can in fact play combat with any quad. They are all combat enabled. However, only the Dominator has the skins that allow you to select how your drone's going to look, and is the quad that is a nice good size and the right speed to engage in a really good combat game. You can play with tiny whoops and 5-inch quads, but they're not ideal for combat because tiny whoops are very difficult to see on screen. 5-inch quads are really fast and really hard to hit, and also more difficult to see. So we recommend using the Dominator because it has the skin system, which is your rewards as you level up, and you can see your XP up here. When this bar gets to the end, you get XP after each match. When that gets to the end, I will go up to level 17. I'm currently level 16. Obviously early on you level up quite quickly, and as you go up the levels it takes a bit longer. If you go to a quad that isn't the Dominator, like a 5-inch quad, you don't see any of that. You don't have any skins, you don't have any selection of turrets or anything like that, because this is basically a racing quad. So the Dominator is the main Combat Quad. If you'd like a written guide on combat, then SFPV has done a guide on his website, SFPV Air. You can see the URL at the top here. And this basically goes through in written form what the Dominator Quad is, the in-game reward system, the various weapons you can use, and a video on how to use those, the game modes, and some tips and techniques on how to play the game.